Hello, hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Let me find it over here. Is that today? Is that right now? Nope, nope, nope. Not live yet. Did I put the wrong date in there? Oh, I did put the wrong date in there. Oh well. Hi there. So I'm Kurt. This is Going Alone Live. This is where I talk to you about not taking a big old drink just before I start talking. I know you can hear it because I got the microphone right here. Nothing more gross than listening to somebody gulp. So there were two things that I want to talk to you about today, and I forgot to check on the phone what they were because I wrote them down on the phone. Hold on, because I won't remember. Just a second. Still there? Okay, I got it. So there were three things that I wanted to talk about today. There were the fast cars, the sarcastic coworker, and the emails. So let's do that. So, is this thing still on? Yeah. So, first of all, while I was riding to work, let's talk about this. So these are things that are challenges to my balance, my equanimity. I was riding along on the motorcycle on my way to work, and I was about halfway through the commute, 25 miles in or so, and I was at this one point between two freeways. They're about to split. And I was on the lane over here, and I was doing slow. I was doing about 60 miles an hour, maybe a little less than that, when all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, just whoom, car came swooping past, as it sometimes does, and cut right in front of me and zipped on past. And, you know, you could just imagine I'm on the bike and just kind of, you can just feel the emotion rising, the anger, you know, the indignation, the insult to common decency and justice even. You know, how can he do that? Where's a cop when you need one? All those kinds of things. And so immediately, as soon as I feel that happening, I call that the Feast of Offal when that happens. Feast of, somebody said hi. Oh, howdy, Ninjaroo88. Hi there. So, as I felt that rise, you know, I call it the Feast of Offal when I don't temper my emotions, when I don't control them, and they just kind of flush out. And in fact, that just happened just a minute ago. Something similar happened just a minute ago. I watched a man execute the Feast of Offal. Quick distraction as I talked about him before I finished the other story. I was coming home and I was making a left turn at the signal, and the car right in front of me. Light turned green, green arrow, green, 1,000, 2, 1,000. I could see his head down. He's clearly on his phone. 3, 1,000. Oh, well, what the heck? I gave him a honk of the horn. Now, my new motorcycle has a really loud horn. It's an aftermarket honk, so it's well all out of proportion to the size of the bike. So he got a big bonk. He started, looked up and around and stuff like that. And there was a woman next to him. I could see her puffy blonde hair. And you could tell he's, you know, looking at me in the mirror, you know, and I made it as perfunctory and cursory a honk as I possibly could, but still it was enough to get his ire up. Right? He's staring at me in the mirror. He takes off, and I could see him looking at me in the side view mirror there, and he was not controlling the Feast of Offal. That was the Feast of Offal when he's spewing out his emotions. Clearly he's upset at me. Maybe he's, you know, directing some of the whatever the day's frustrations were at the guy that honked the horn at him, especially loud. That was the first time I really honked at anybody with a new bike, so maybe I did. It wasn't that bad. Just all out of proportion. It sounded like a Mack truck and turned around and it's a little motorcycle. Well, a pretty big motorcycle. So that was the Feast of Offal, that guy kind of letting it out. And I felt myself doing the same thing when the guy in the morning swooped around me, and I felt the Feast of Offal rising. I wanted to give him the bird and all that. I didn't do any of that. What I basically did was I asked myself immediately in the moment, what can I do? Which are my objectives? Which of my principles can I apply to this? Like, that harkens to the 20th principle in my you know, good life. Dare I call it a philosophy? Which is called utility, arena and utility. Let me read from it right here from the chapter called The Good Life. Arena and utility. Every place, you can hear the woman vacuuming upstairs. Every place and situation is an opportunity to practice and refine your objectives and principles. Ask yourself at every point through the day, What utility and good end might be found for the employment of your reason and philosophy, which must be forever alert, skeptical, and active? So what tools could I use? Imagine I had like a carpenter's utility belt around my waist, and all those various objectives and principles are ready to use. Temperance at a moment's notice, the principle with the atomic principle at a moment's notice, reason when that tool is needed. First one that came to mind, of course, was temperance. I temper that down. Well, the Feast of Opal, I reminded myself, here comes the feast. It's rising. I'm about to spew out all my excess emotion, into the universe to expel all that out. And that's a gross, filthy thing to do. It doesn't really do anything good. It's not a good use of time. Another objective right there. And I was able to temper it down, back off on the throttle a bit, keep my hands on the grips. And then the other principle I used was immediately thereafter. Oh, you're welcome, Jim X. Great name. You're welcome. The next principle I used was it's principle number 5. No, is it 4? The recognition of true limits and true opportunity. That's number 6, actually. It's objective number 6. Let me see if I can find that. I'll read that real quick. I've always struggled with that because I wanted to have a nice 5 principles, 5 objectives and 20 principles, but it turned out to have 6. Here it is. Principle or objective number 6. Recognize true limits and true opportunity. I will strive to live life in honest recognition of my true scope of control, which extends no further than my thoughts, actions, and reactions, and the consequences these might entail. I'll ask myself how I may craft favorable ends from any circumstance. What misfortune do I not have the power to fashion into some instrument of virtue? Is it death now at the door? Do not bar the way, for the hour of our meeting is truly at hand, and I will not attempt to detain in vain any will, force, or consequence which is truly beyond my control. And really, the way that person drove was outside of my control. Even if they hit me, truly beyond my control. I can only keep my eyes focused on the road in front of me and periodically in the mirrors. He came out of nowhere. What was within my control was not to, cause his foot to come off the gas pedal or to summon a police officer out of thin air, but instead simply to remember that I do not have that power, and instead to do a couple of things. And I immediately tossed my mind that challenge. First, to recognize that what was within my control was my emotional reaction, how I choose to react to that situation. Then I asked myself, what could I do in life to take this anger, frustration, and channel it into a way that's good? Well, I happen to be a driving instructor on the weekend, and I could share the story with my students and ask them, how they might react in that situation and how they might drive to be more considerate of others. And I elected that I'll do that. So I've added that to my little tool, my utility belt of things as a driving instructor. So I've just covered 2 things. There's 2 more. Just covered 2 things from the day that were challenges that I was able to successfully mitigate through the use of my objectives and principles. Now I was thinking that it would be neat to cover things that I was unsuccessful at mitigating. So I'll try to keep a catalog as well. In fact, those might be more interesting and more informative. And please feel free to throw out your own. If you have something you want to talk about here, throw out say something, or if you have a question, I'd be happy to try to answer it. Pardon me, a motorcycle ride back really dehydrates me. Okay, so we talked about the 2, mostly traffic related. There was another one that happened at work. And this was the sarcastic coworker. So there's this one person at work that their way of interacting is through sarcasm. And it's rather annoying. You've probably met those types of people before, that they always lead with a tongue in their cheek. What can I say that's kind of biting, that's got a little edge to it? Never really a nice compliment or a sincere, maybe it's sincere, but it's just never anything that kind of sits well. Everything they always say seems to sit in a sour way. You probably know people like that. And this is one of those people. And there he was. And so I'm walking over and, hi, come here, you wanna come sit with me? Come here, buddy. Oh, come here, come here, buddy. Now, I don't wanna give away any details. Who knows who might be watching. You just say that I got one of those sour comments. And I had a few moments to think about it as I led up to the interaction. You got the wire in your head, Ollie. And what I did is I was actually literally walking down the hall, and there was that person there. And I didn't know they were going to say something sour, but past experience has been that it typically is sour. This person's particularly sour in the morning, kind of like a big glass of orange juice. It's really tangy and not the best way. Maybe it's lemon juice. Anyway, here he comes, walking down the thing. So as we approached, I looked at him and I thought, it's his way. It's his nature. That is Ollie. That is principle number 7 in the good life. Let's turn to principle number 7. The principle of nature. Sub-principles, paradigm, and mandate. Everything and everyone has some qualities and character which define what they are and what they are about. This nature, combined with perspective and will, is their paradigm and operational guide. The demands of biology are a mandate deep and sound from the perspective of survival and the continuance of our kind. I ask myself at every chance, what is the nature of the things I will meet and interact with today? What are the natures of the people I know and with whom I share life? And what is my own nature? Knowing these things will help me to engage better and more reasonably with everything and everything. So summoning that principle to mind, I looked down the hall at the person I was approaching, who was approaching me, and I asked myself, what is his nature? And I remembered his nature is to greet the dawn and throughout the rest of the day with a sour comment and a rather sour face, sadly. So I braced myself for it. Wished him good morning, and I got a sour comment. Thomas says, hello, Kurt. And I've worked around coworkers in the past. And so yes, they are total jerk, and just don't worry about them. It is obvious that they are truly happy deep inside. So my own meditation on that is to not even be too concerned about, I would be concerned if they're unhappy, that's a sad thing. But again, that's outside of my control. What is within my control is how I choose to respond to that person. Recognizing that that is their nature and that their nature is outside my control. It's two principles right there, the principle of nature and the principle of true limits, or the objective of true limits and true opportunity. I then am in a position to simply interact without being flustered, and also, of course, watching out for using temperance to push down any frustration that might arise in the way. Finally today, email. I'm very, very busy. Ollie hit a button. Very, very busy week. This morning when I get into the office, I was about 2 days, maybe 1.5 days behind on email, and way, way behind. I hadn't had a chance to check email at all yesterday. And that fact was really weighing on me as I was preparing for the day. And again, I kind of asked myself, what is the, this one, I had to look at the nature of things, and it was the nature of my office, and it's the nature of my coworkers, and the nature of my supervisor to, pass a lot of work down the chain. And it's also my nature to accept a lot of work without comment or complaint. As a result, I got myself into a situation with a lot of projects that I'm running right now. So I decided that when my supervisor came to make his morning visit, that I would explain that to him, let him know what's going on, and I would explain that I'm behind and it's probably have some consequences. Probably a few plates that are spinning in the air. A couple of them might fall, in fact. And in fact, a couple of them did today. I was able to clean up the mess, but I was also able to forewarn my boss that that was going to happen. And although I can't relinquish myself of the projects that I've got right now, I can do a better job of managing those. And I made the decision. One thing that isn't in my control is to work a little overtime. I don't get paid for it, and technically it's not even allowed. but I can choose to do that to catch up. And my boss knows what I'm doing, and he allows me to then make up for it in other ways. So it's a good thing. Someone says, thank you for responding to my question, Kirk, and hopefully you'll get to do more travels real soon. Yeah, well, real soon, tomorrow, heading out to the desert. So first time to take the bike out to Siberia. But now I got to travel with this doggy. And then after that, Ollie, we're going to go down, we're going to put this new tank bag that I just got. It's a giant loop tank bag for the new bike. And, excuse me, today I had my mechanic cut the top of the windscreen off. So it's a lot better now. Well, that's it for today. That's enough good day, good life. What am I calling it? Going along live. That's right. Maybe I'll read more from the book. And I'm going to say goodbye. I'm probably not going to be doing this tomorrow because I'll be in the desert. Although who knows? Maybe I can do it from the road. Ollie, take care. Say bye to everybody. Yeah? Walkie? Okay, let's go. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Make it a good life.